Hope you get Mr. Neighbor's cow out of the ditch. What's that? Be ready in case them kids come to hear stories. Okay, Paul. What? Be on my bestest behavior? Why, sure will, Paul. Okay. Bye. Well, howdy doody. Welcome, third graders. Welcome to the right-hand fork at the head of the holler. I know you all came up here to hear my Pa tell stories because he's the greatest storyteller in all the world. People come from all over to hear him tell stories. Let's see, they come from California, Indiana, Ohio. They come from all over to hear my Pa tell stories. But I'm sorry he had to leave. When you live up in a holler like we do, cows fall in the ditch all the time. So sometimes he just won't be here. But you see, my Pa, he's the smartest man. He said, Polly Sue, you's going to have to be ready in case them kids come, and I'm not sure. You're going to have to be ready to entertain them. And I said, I get to entertain them? I said, what do I get to do, Paul? I said, should I dance for them? And he said, no, Polly Sue, you don't need to dance for him. And I said, all right, Ma, should I sing for him, Paul? And he said, no, Polly Sue, you better not sing either. I said, well, what am I going to do then? How am I going to entertain them? He said, well, you know, they come all the way up here just to hear me tell stories. Do you remember my stories, Polly Sue? And I said, sure I do, Pa. I remember all your stories. He said, well, why don't you tell them one of my stories? And I said, well, Pa, I can tell them your stories, but I got stories of my own. And Ma jumped in and said, now, Polly Sue, honey, I've not seen you write nary story down. And I said, no, Ma, you all confused. You thinking of that little Lori Ingalls. Now, she had to write her stories down in a remembrance book. I don't have to use a remembrance book. I use a remembrance sack. And she looked at me, boys and girls, just like you are looking at me right now. She did. She looked at me like, mm-hmm. And I went, uh-huh. And she said, now, Polly Sue, I said, it's true. It's true, boys and girls. It's true. All I have to do is open up my sack and pull something out, and I can think of a story. You're still looking at me like you don't believe me. If you'll be real quiet and put your listening ears on, I'll show you. I'm going to walk over here and I'm going to pull something out of my sack, and it's going to make me think of a story. Let's see. Oh, yep. This right here reminds me of a story. Do you want to hear it? All right, now you got to listen real close as I tell you the story. It all started when I was sitting in my third grade classroom. I was sitting at my desk and I was doing my ciphering. Well, I was adding them 3-digit numbers like it's nobody's business. Because you know what? I want to be pro-efficient at ciphering them 3-digit numbers. So I was sitting there and I was adding right in my mind. And I was adding 8 plus 7 plus 6 plus 5. Oh, I was doing real good. And I wasn't thinking about nothing else because I want to be pro-efficient. And everybody's busy. When all of a sudden I heard knock, knock, knock. And all of us looked up like, oh, what was that? And in came Mr. Principal. And he said, Mrs. Teacher, class, you have a new student today. And we all looked, we did, and sure enough, out from behind the doorway came the tallest girl. And she didn't look like us third graders. She's tall. And I looked at her, and she wasn't smiling though, but I still just looked at her because we was all amazed because she's tall. And I thought, oh my goodness, I have someone that can push me on the swing. She's just like an adult. Well, I bet when she pushed me on that swing, I bet I could go real high. So I was all excited about seeing this new girl in our classroom. And Mr. Principal and Mrs. Teacher were over there talking. And we was all just staring at this big, tall girl. And then Mr. Principal left, and Mrs. Teacher said, all right, class, I want you to meet Bertha. And we all looked and went, hi, Bertha. And then I added in my howdy doody holler wave, and she looked at me, and I looked at her, and I thought we was going to be bestest friends. And Mrs. Teacher said, all right, y'all go back to your ciphering. And she said, Bertha, you're tall. She said, you know what? We have a really good table for you at the back of the classroom. So Mrs. Teacher and Bertha walked back there. And I was just kind of looking at her because she's so tall. And she just went and sat down. And Mrs. Teacher said, all right now, y'all need to get back to your ciphering. So I got back to my ciphering. She said, you've only got 10 minutes until recess. And boy, I love recess. It's like my favorite time of the day. It's where I get to play. And you know what? Sometimes, if you don't have your ciphering done, or your reading done, or your writing done, you has to stay in from recess and finish it. I ain't going to do that because I want to go outside because Bertha's going to push me on the swing. So I got back to my ciphering, and I was working really hard. I only had about 4 problems to go when all of a sudden I felt something whoosh in the back of my head, and my face went boosh in the desk, and it hurt so bad. It flattened my nose, and I turned around, and I looked at that old Ricky Ray, and I said, Ricky Ray, did you hit me? Because he's mean. And he said, Polly Sue, I didn't hit you. I said, yes, you did. And he said, no, I didn't. And I glanced just out of the corner of my eye. Bertha was motioning at me, and I'm like, what? And she said, I'm like, what? Pick it up. She was saying, I said, pick it up. And sure enough, there all wadded, just as tight, was a piece of paper. And she said, open it. And I looked, and she said, open it. And I opened it up. And there inside, from Bertha, she had put, I'll see you on the playground, Bertha. And I went, hot dog, she's thinking the same thing I am. She's going to push me on the swing. So I turned around, I gave her and I was all ready. We had 3 more problems in like 3 minutes, and I was doing them. And then all of a sudden, Mrs. Teacher said, time for recess. So I walk out, get in line, and we was going outside. And as we was there, I looked back. I was waiting for Bertha. And Mrs. Teacher was talking to her, and it looked like she had a wadded sheet of paper. And I thought, well, I can't wait. I was going to waste my recess. So I grabbed my other bestest friend, and I said, come on, let's go seesaw. Bertha will have to push us later, is what I was thinking. So we get over there, and me and my bestest friend, and she's on one side, and I'm on the other side, and we just seesawing. We was just happy as we could be, just seesawing away. And you know, anything that I try to do, well, I try to be proficient at it, and I was proficient at seesawing too. So I sat down there, and whenever I got real comfortable and felt real safe, I closed my eyes. And then I got a little braver, and I stuck my arms out, and I felt just like a bird. I went up and down and up, and about the time I went up real high, I heard my bestest friend go, ah, splat. And then I heard me go, ah, splat. And I sunk 2 inches in the dirt. And I opened my eyes, and I looked at my bestest friend, and I thought, why did you jump off her? I sunk 2 inches in the dirt. It hurt my buttocks. It was hurting. And I looked, and here come Mrs. Teacher, because Mrs. Teacher's so nice. And she said, honey, are you okay? And I said, yes, Mrs. Teacher, I'm okay. Just give me a few minutes. And I watched as she walked over there to Bertha. And I watched as my friend was knocking off the dirt and it looked like she was rubbing her arm. And Mrs. Teacher was pointing her finger at Bertha, and I didn't know what for. So I just thought, okay, I can do this. I can do this. So I thought, maybe I need to go swing. So I crawled off the seesaw. I crawled off the seesaw and I walked over to the swing. And as I was walking, the swings were all taken and I thought, oh, I need a swing to sit on. And it's like they all just felt for me, I guess, because we had good kids in our class except Ricky Ray. And they all just moved. They scattered like four winds. And I went up there. And I said, y'all all don't have to leave. But it's like they didn't even hear a word I said. They all left. And I thought, okay. So I got to the swing. And I just sat down slowly. And as I sat there, I just kind of swayed back and forth. And then all of a sudden, I no longer swayed back and forth. I shot back and forth. Someone had pushed me. And they pushed me so hard, well, I almost touched the clouds. And I thought, oh no, I don't feel like swinging like this. So I turned around and it was Bertha, and she didn't look happy. And I said, Bertha, no, I don't want to swing this high. And she just kept on pushing. And then she finally did one big push. And I went up, and I went up, and I went up, and I went up. And I went over. And when I went over, I went splat right in the dirt. 4 inches. 4 inches in the dirt. And I heard Mrs. Teacher running to me. Polly Sue, are you okay? And I said, yes, Mrs. Teacher, I'm okay. Just give me a few minutes to lay here. And I was hurting all over. And out the corner of my eye, I could see Mrs. Teacher with her finger in Bertha's face. And I thought, I just got to get off this playground. It's going to kill me. I may not even get to go home. So I crawled out of that 4-inch hole and I crawled over to a pine tree. It looked much safer. So I sat down and I leaned up against that pine tree and I was just closing my eyes when all of a sudden out behind the tree popped Bertha. And I could feel her just staring at me. And I looked up and there she was. And she said, Polly Sue, I'm going to pop you in the nose. And I said, what's she going to pop me in the nose for? What have I done to you, Bertha? And she said, because you gave me that old goofy way and made everybody look at me. But Bertha, I said, you knew. The teacher was introducing you. Everybody's looking at you. Yeah, but you gave me that goofy old wave. Well, that's my holler wave. I wave at everybody like that. Well, that's goofy, she said. And I'm going to pop you in the nose. Please don't pop me in the nose, Bertha. I was hurting all over. It's already sore from when I hit my desk. Well, I don't care. I'm going to pop you in the nose, she said. Unless. I said, unless what, Bertha? Unless you do me a favor. Okay, Bertha, I do anything, just don't pop me in the nose. Well, you see that tree over there? And she pointed at our big old oak tree. We also called that our love tree because everybody wrote their initials on there, who they loved. And she said, you see that tree over there? And I'm like, uh-huh. She said, well, behind that tree is a little critter, and it's sleeping. I said, now, Bertha, how do you know there's a critter over there and it's sleeping? Because I knocked it out with a rock. You sure it ain't dead? No, it's just sleeping. She said, you go over there right now and you get that little critter and you take it and you throw it on Mrs. Teacher. I said, Bertha, I can't throw that critter on Mrs. Teacher. You said it weren't dead. Well, what if it comes to life and it scratches her eyeballs out as it's sleeping on her? She said, well, I'll pop you in the nose. No, don't pop me in the nose. Is there something else I can do? She said, well, all right then. She said, I tell you what you do. She said, you go over there and you put that critter in a little sack and you take it and you give it to Mrs. Teacher and you tell her that's her lunch. I said, okay, I'll go and give her the sack lunch with the little not dead critter inside. So I walked over to the tree and I scooped up the little critter, and sure enough, his breathing, his little body just going out and in. And so I carefully picked it up and I placed it very carefully in the sack. And I thought, oh, poor little critter. And I better it than me. So I wrapped just kind of wadded it up and I took it over to Mrs. Teacher. And I said, Mrs. Teacher, Bertha said to give this to you. And Mrs. Teacher, she's so smart. She said, Polly Sue, is there a critter in that thar sack? And I said, yes, Mrs. Teacher, but it ain't dead, but it's knocked out. And she said, do I hear something? And sure enough, you could hear just a little bit of something going on inside that bag. And she said, all right, come quickly, Polly Sue. So we ran in the room and I watched very carefully. She went around the room and she got a box, and then she got her pretty little black ribbon that she had in her hair, and she took it off and she wrapped it in the box. And she said, all right, Polly Sue, you need to go quickly and give this gift to Bertha and tell her that it's from me and you. I said, okay, Mrs. Teacher. And I was thinking, why in the world would Mrs. Teacher give her a gift? But I can't question Mrs. Teacher because she's so smart and she is so sweet. So I said, okay, Mrs. Teacher. So I took the gift and I walked to Bertha. And I said, Bertha, Mrs. Teacher wanted me to give you this gift. It's from her and me. And Bertha looked at it real funny and she said, what's in it? And I said, I don't know what's in it. I said, but I know when my pa gives my ma a gift, usually it's good smelling perfume. And she said, well, all right then. And she took it and she didn't even care about Mrs. Teacher's ribbon. She just ripped it off there and just threw it on the floor. And then she opened it. And when she opened it, the little critter inside poked up its little tail. And about the time it did, it got Bertha right in the face. Perfume, all right, it came at her and it stunk. And I was like, bleh. I was getting all sick. Bertha, you stinking. Ooh. And about that time, Mrs. Teacher was over there ringing a bell. And everybody was walking by going, shit, what's that smell? And I'm like, that's Bertha. Woo. And we get in the class and we're all sitting down. The teacher's like, shit, we got to open up some windows in here. What happened? And I just pointed at Bertha. And we sat down and Mrs. Teacher said, all right, class. Bertha's back there at her table. And Mrs. Teacher said, all right, class. She said, we're going to end class today differently. And I'm like, oh, I hope she's going to tell stories. I love it when Mrs. Teacher tells stories. She's so good at it. She'll act out the characters and all that. She said, today we're going to end class by talking about something that is very important. And she got her Mrs. Teacher's serious voice on. And she said, we want to talk about bullying. And we was all looking like, bullying? And Mrs. Teacher said, can anyone in here tell me what bullying may look like? And about that time, Lula Gale raised her hand, because Lula Gale always raises her hand. She raised her hand and she said, Mrs. Teacher, I know what bullying is. Bullying is when somebody writes you an old dirty note. And I sat there and I thought, wrote me a note. Maybe that wasn't a good thing. I'll meet you at the playground. And then Mrs. Teacher said, oh, that's good. Yes, sometimes bullies write bad notes or say bad things. And then she said, who else would like to say what they think bullying is? And about that time, Maybelle raised her neat little low hand and she said, Mrs. Teacher, I know what bullying is. Bullying is when someone pushes you around. And Mrs. Teacher said, oh, that's right, Maybelle. Bullies like to push people around. And then she said, would anyone like to tell me what they think about bullies? And I thought about what Maybelle said. Bertha had pushed us around. She pushed me clear around on the swing. And I said, by raising my hand and getting Mrs. Teacher attention, and she said, yes, Polly Sue. And as kind as I knew how, but also in pain, I said, Mrs. Teacher, I know what bullying is. And I can describe a bully for you. Bullies stink. And that's how the stories go. Now, boys and girls, that's my story. I got that from my remembrance sack. But what I want you to think about when you think about this story is how bullies hurt. Bullies stink. And if you want friends, you have to show yourself friendly and be kind to each other. It is not nice to push people around, to write dirty notes about them or send them bad notes. You want to be friendly.